You ready to learn how to make lunch meat? Ready or not, let's get started. So, it's actually super simple, and it's so delicious. You'll never want to eat real meat again. I've never eaten real meat anyway, so I wouldn't really know, but I can't imagine wanting to eat real meat again after learning how to make this. To start off, you're going to want to start your water boiling and season it up. So, you start with 12 cups of water, which I have already in this pot. You're going to add 1/3 cup of soy sauce. Super simple. And then after that, all you need is some seasoning. I am using McKay's, well actually I don't know if it's McKay's, actually it's Butler. But the recipe recommends beef style seasoning, which is gives it like a beef flavor. But I didn't have that, so I'm using chicken style seasoning, which is just as good. So here's what it looks like. I just bought this on Amazon. You can get it there or in like health food stores. Chicken style seasoning, 3 tablespoons. Put that in your water. We're gonna whisk it in there so that it breaks apart all the little clumps. And then we're gonna start this boiling. Start the burner so the water starts boiling. I wish I had a bigger pot because this is probably going to overflow once I add the meat to it. We'll see. Let's see what happens. Okay. Mix it all together so there's no more little clumps of the seasoning. And then it's good to go. Oh no, I forgot one thing. Let's see here. Hold on. So after I get this mixed up, okay. One step, you don't want to forget this step because this is going to add some really good flavor, and that is tomato sauce. I'm just using like spaghetti sauce, and it calls for 16 ounces. This is a 24-ounce jar, so I'm going to use 3/4 of the jar. Open it up, here we go, and pour in about 3/4 of this jar of tomato sauce. Oh, this pot is so full. Oh, it's going to overflow. It is so going to overflow when I put the meat in. Oh well. I might have to take some of the water out later. But anyway, we'll start with this. Okay, now I've added that tomato. I might have to do it in 2 pots. Actually, that's what I might do because you divide the meat into 2 loaves, like loaves or 2 balls anyway. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in 2 pots because this is going to overflow otherwise. Okay. I'm going to pause my video and transfer that to 2 pots. Okay, now as you can see, I've got it going in 2 separate pots. If you have a really big, deep pot, you're gonna wanna do it in that because you want it to have you want it to really cover the lunch meat when you put it in. And this isn't probably going to. But if I need to, I can put it both in this pot. This pot might actually be bigger. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But for now, this is a good solution for me. I've got it going in 2 separate pots so that I don't overflow my pots. Okay, we're gonna move on to making the meat itself now. I'm gonna move my camera over here. Okay, step 2, making the actual lunch meat. This is super simple step again. You only need 3 things. You need some gluten flour. Now this is really important, not just regular flour. It has to be gluten flour. You're gonna put that into 1 mixing bowl. So put in your gluten flour. This is 2 cups of gluten flour. And then you need 1 cup of whole wheat flour. I just use the Bronze Cheap 100% whole wheat flour. Put that in there as well. And then I have, last ingredient is some seasonings. 2 tablespoons of the chicken style seasoning again. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, mix that in to your other your other mixing bowl. Make sure you have 2 mixing bowls for this step because you're going to want to add the 1 set of ingredients to the other. Add the dry ingredients to the water. I need a fork to mix this. Okay. So, mix together your dry ingredients. To begin with, make sure it's thoroughly mixed. Gluten flour, whole wheat flour, and your seasonings. And if you didn't have those same seasonings, you could probably just season it with salt and anything else you thought might taste good, or like nutritional yeast to give it a chickeny flavor. Whatever you have, that would be good. That's not too important. Okay, once you have it really nicely, smoothly mixed, you need 2 cups of warm water. Okay, not hot, not cold, but warm. Put that in your other bowl. And then you're going to add the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. For this, I'm going to grab the wire whisk again. What did I do with it? Here we go. Okay. Okay, mix that really good. Eventually you'll have to move to using your hands. You're gonna make it, it's going to make a dough. It's already stuck in my, it's already stuck in here. I can already move to using my hands. I probably didn't even need this. Oh well, he live and learn. Now it's really stuck in here. I'm getting it. It's already getting like doughy, which is perfect. It's exactly the consistency you like. It's kind of a chewy, meaty consistency. Okay, mix this really good with your hands. You almost want to knead it a little bit until it's a really nice, stretchy dough. There we go. Fairly mixed. Try to get all the flour off the sides. Kind of gets stuck there. This is where I can use this and kind of scrape it off the sides. Okay. There we go. Almost there. So I'm just going to knead it a bit more to make sure all my flour is evenly mixed. And all the seasonings evenly mixed in there. There's no pockets of dry flour. Or really gooey dough. Some parts are a little drier still than others right now in my dough. Okay. Getting a workout here. Okay. This is perfect. Nice and sticks to itself. It's kind of like bread dough. It's better than bread dough though, because bread dough can stick to your hands, and this doesn't. It sticks really well to itself, and it makes like, my water's boiling. Makes a nice meaty texture. Okay, now you want to divide this into 2 balls, okay? So I'm going to go right in the middle, divide it into 2, and form those again into nice smooth. It doesn't have to be too smooth because it's okay if it has some texture to the outer edge. If it's kind of lumpy, that's good. Okay, there's my one. My water's really going. And that's good. You want the water to be boiling when you put these in. I don't know what you call it, the brine or the juice that the meat sits in, okay? Okay, I got my 2 meats there. Looks really, really good. We're gonna go put that into the boiling water. Well, you can see that the metal pot boils a lot faster than the non-metal pot. It is just boiling, boiling away. And this one's not ready. I don't really want to put the one in if the other's not ready, but I don't know what else to do. So let me grab my gluten meat. And we're gonna drop the one in the boiling water, the one that's ready, okay? In it goes. And over time it's gonna swell, it's gonna get bigger. And this is perfect because it's just basically covering it. That's exactly what I want. This one's almost ready, it's almost boiling. So the making of it is super easy, like mixing and kneading, making the brine. What's hard or what takes a long time is waiting for it to cook. It takes forever to cook, so about 3 hours. Kind of plan for that if you're making this for a meal or anything. And actually it's even better if you let it sit in the fridge overnight because it'll soak up a lot of the juices and have much better flavor by the next day. I really am not happy that it's not fully covering it though. It is best if it fully covers it. I might have to see if I can fit them both in this one. It's starting to boil. Yay! Perfect. Okay, let me grab a fork. I'm gonna see if I can transfer these over to this one. Okay. let's see what happens. It's already swelling up, you can see. Don't want it to fall apart. Oh, come on. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Yeah, this pot has more room, so I think we'll do this. And then this one can go in too. There's just plenty of room for 2 of them. There we go. This will be good. Then we're going to cover it. Then they'll really cook well because they're going to be covered with this broth. Okay. Yeah, because it's going to boil some of it away, so you don't want to have it so low as it was with 2 pots. That wasn't going to work. You want it to fully cover them. I'm going to fit it all in there. There we go. We did it. Shut this off. Turn this back up. You're going to let that do its thing for the next 3 hours. I'll show you what it looks like in about an hour and a half, about halfway through. And then when we're all done. When you're all done, we're going to slice it up, and then it'll really soak up all that juice. It'll be so good. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, here's something important I just realized I have to do. I took a fork and I just very carefully pulled it up because it's sticking a little bit on the bottom. So just kind of just make sure it's not doing that. You can see it right there. It's boiling away. It's doing really good. It's working really well in that one pot. So make sure it doesn't stick on the bottom. Okay, we're halfway through. It's already 10 o'clock at night. And we're only halfway through cooking this. As you can see, it's boiled down a lot and it's starting to look really good. I'm gonna grab a fork here. I've actually turned it 1 or 2 times. I think 2 times now. Make sure it doesn't stick on the bottom. You can just flip it over so that it cooks on both sides. Yeah, it's starting to look really good. But it's still got another hour and a half to go. As you can see, it almost makes like a gravy. It boils down the broth a lot and it makes like a gravy for it. So yummy. It smells so good right now. Oh man. It's getting there. It's not quite done yet. You can take off like a chunk of it. Yeah, it's still a little gooey. So I've turned it down really far too. In fact, I would have turned it down sooner because it kind of boiled away a little too fast. Because it's still got an hour and a half to go and it's like almost boiled dry, but I'm just turning it way down on low so it still cooks, but it doesn't boil all completely away and burn. Okay, we've got another hour and a half to go and then it's done. All right, so it's actually still got a whole nother hour to cook, but I'm turning it off and I think it's done. I think it's good enough. You can see it's like down to gravy, cooked down to gravy. It's starting to stick on the bottom actually. I don't know why I'm using that tiger. So I'm gonna pull it, get it unstuck off the bottom. Oh yeah, see this is what you don't want to happen. So I've checked, actually got impatient. I cut off a couple pieces to try and they're so good. Oh, it's so good. So I think it's done. Because the pieces were really nice, well cooked. So let's take it out. So you're gonna take it out of the gravy and put it on a mat over here, placemat or a cutting board to let it cool. And after it's cooled, then I'm going to slice it up and I'll put it in a dish that I'll put it in the fridge and it'll soak in the gravy a bit more. It'll get so nice and then you can eat it. I'm gonna eat this piece right now. It's stuck on the bottom. Oh man, that is so good. Yeah. Really good gravy. Yeah, so if you wait, even if right now, it's better if you wait, but you can eat this right now. You can just slice off a piece. This is like lunch meat. It's a little dry though. If you don't dip it in the sauce. Dip it in the sauce, get it nice and saucy, and then it's perfect. Oops, if I can get it. Tiger. Yeah, that's the stuff right there. It's gonna burn my tongue. That was so good. Okay, so it's had a chance to cool. I'm gonna cut it and then put it in a dish and put the gravy on it. So I have a dish here. And it'll keep in the fridge for a pretty good bit. And I'll probably freeze it if it's taking too long for me to eat it. So just grab a fork and a knife. It's cooled down a lot now, and cut away. Try to do thin pieces, that's important. Don't want them too thick or it'll be all dry. That one I can't get any thinner. I'll try for these. Oh, doing a bad job of cutting it. Anyway, I'll come back on when I'm all done. Now you can see how it cuts up and how it looks. It's a little bit dry, you can see when you first cut it. That's good. You want it to be like that, and then you'll put it in the gravy. It'll soak up all the juices and be so juicy. And yeah, it's so good. See how I'm doing really thin slices. And I'm gonna finish this, and then we'll put the gravy on it, and it will sit overnight, and tomorrow it will be perfect. All right, I've got it in my pan now, and I've got the gravy here. I'm gonna add some water to the gravy because it's a little thick, and you want it to cover the, really cover the meat well, fake meat well. And it's thinned down, or it's thickened up a lot because it cooked down so much, so it won't hurt to thin it out. It'll still have a lot of flavor and it'll be really good. And I'm kind of scraping it because there's some pieces stuck on the bottom and on the sides. We're gonna get that off. I'm gonna grab a rubber scraper here. There we go. So I've got that nice and thinned out. Scrape it off the bottom. Get all that delicious flavor in there. And we're ready to pour it over the fake meat. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then it'll soak this up, and by morning, by tomorrow, it will be nice and juicy instead of having that drier texture. It'll still have a nice chewy texture like meat does, I think. I've never had it, so I don't know, but that's what it looks like and people say it's like. So yeah, it'll have that good texture to it, but it'll still be nice and juicy. All right, it is ready to put in the fridge. I'm gonna even out the middle there. Put the lid on and we'll let that marinate overnight. It will be ready by tomorrow. And it's really, really good if you have it on bread or toast with like mayonnaise and ketchup and whatever else you put on a sandwich with Lunchmeat. And that is how you make Lunchmeat. It's super easy to do, takes a long time, but it's not hard, and it's super worth it.